Hey, Trail people, you are listening to the Trail Network podcast hosted by Rachel Drake, Leah Yangling, Hillary Yang, and myself, Katie Asmuth. We are here to celebrate the community, connections, and untold stories within trail running. And today we have a very special episode. We have the great Ann Flower, who is visiting our pod today, who just came off a massive win, broke the course record at the level 100, a 31-year-old record previously held by Ann Trason. And she's joining us today, and we are so excited to dig in. Ann, how are you feeling?
I feel overall pretty good.
Pretty good. Okay. How is this post-Leadville fame feeling?
It's really interesting. Obviously, there's a lot there from just a running perspective, but the thing that's been most fun is other spheres of my life kind of reclaiming me and owning me has been really cool. Like the morning after, I made the EM Docs Facebook page, which is, I think it's like 40,000 ER doctors from around the country. And they're like, oh, yeah, she's us. She's us for sure.
Let's go. That's amazing. Okay, I want to dive into all of this. So we just met at a panel right before Leadville, but I had known your name because I was doing media for Javelina last year and was covering the 100-miler, but you kept getting brought up because you were winning overall, and you ended up holding down the win at the 100K distance at Javelina last year, beating all the men. It was really impressive. And so since then, you've been on my radar, but I hadn't known of you before that. So I really want to dig in to you and your background. If you could give us a little bit of where you came from, like how your childhood was. How did you get into this crazy sport of ultrarunning?
Yeah, I guess like starting from childhood, I was super, super lucky. I have a fantastic family, and my parents work in education. So our summers were always spent camping, hiking, playing in the mountains. Even though we lived in Ohio, it was just load up the children in the van, land in whatever national park, and we'll camp there and play for a while. I actually told someone recently that we had been in the Silverton Uray area after Hard Rock. I think I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I saw the course markers. So then we had to figure out what Hard Rock was, and there's a book about it. So I think I've had the Hard Rocker book since I was little, but I was not that into running. I would run at soccer and other sports that I was really, really into, but running was not a huge thing for me. I tested it out in middle school and high school and was like decent, but not that good. And so I stayed with ball sports, which were much more comfortable for me. In college, I was very mountainous. I was part of the outdoor adventure program, hiking 14ers. I learned how to backcountry ski. That was how I spent most of my time. And then it wasn't until medical school that I started running a lot more. And I think third or fourth, maybe it's fourth year of med school was when I ran my first marathon.
Okay, so let's take a step back. You kind of grew up playing ball sports. You entered into the world of kind of trail and mountain running, but not until way after your interest of the outdoors kind of you became enlightened by the outdoors. And then you started running. So you run your first marathon and you're in medical school during the time. I do want to talk about that because that is obviously dear to my heart because I'm also in medicine, but also worked in emergency medicine for years. But, were you using running as just kind of an outlet for stress during that time? Or were you really kind of realizing how good you were and trying to kind of got the competitive itch during that time?
No, running was definitely a tool to help me be better at what I was doing in terms of pursuing a career in medicine. I was not doing it to be super fast or super strong or super good. It's really interesting, having gone through medical training, is that there are people around you who are studying all of the time, and you always feel like you're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but there's just not enough time in the day to spend just studying and learning. But I gave myself running as the one thing I could do most days out of the week that was worth the time. I need to be healthy. I need a little mental break. And instead of being able to, go climb a mountain or go skiing all day, this was an outlet that was very time efficient. You could get a lot done in 30 minutes. I needed it to stay sane and to stay happy and to stay healthy.
How long ago was this? When are you starting to run during medical school?
9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So 9 years ago, she begins to run. And when did you said you entered your first marathon during that time. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a coach? Were you taking this seriously? Or was it just sort of like, again, for stress relief and just threw yourself into a race for fun?
Thankfully for the internet, there's, I think it's a 6 or 8 week marathon training plan, and it gives you a long run every Saturday or Sunday. And that was what I followed and figured if I could do that, then I was probably okay.
Nice. Okay. So you run your first marathon, and how did that go?
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
You had a great time. You're hooked. You love running. Now you continue
Mhm.
running. So now we're, like give us 5 years ago. When do you begin to like dabble from those moments of marathon running? When do you begin to dabble into trail running?
My 30th birthday, so almost 6 years ago, 5 years and 10 months ago, I signed up to do a 50K in Moab. Or no, it's a 50 miler in Moab called Dead Horse because Moab is one of my favorite places in the world. I had the weekend off for my birthday. I wanted to go somewhere, and I thought that would be a really cool birthday activity. So that was my first ultra, and I did it in like Asics and soccer shorts. I had no idea you had to bring anything with you. So I bought a bottle just at the outdoor store in downtown Moab the night before because I didn't have any of like the mandatory gear.
Right, like, so you didn't have a hydration pack or anything. You're thinking like it's a
Yeah.
marathon where they just give you everything as you go.
Yeah, exactly. My legs have never been more sore as they were the morning after that race because it's slick rock, which is
Oh,
so painful.
yes.
I could not sit down. My quads were just absolutely trashed. So I've never been as sore as that day, but it was also the first time in my life that I'd done something that I knew there's a high probability I wasn't going to be able to finish, and I did. And so I was just super overjoyed and elated. And I think from there I was pretty hooked on trails.
Awesome. Okay. So at what point did you finish med school, head to residency?
2017.
2017. Okay. So we're kind of in residency then at this time. Is that where
Hmm.
we're at? Okay. So we're in
Yep, third year.
residency, you're running trails, and it's sort of like a side thing. Tell me more about when Ann Flower decides to start taking trail running to the next level.
I guess I should say that my road running experience was very successful as well, probably more than I like had earned or deserved. And I got to go to the Olympic trials in 2020. That was the year when the standard I think was 245, 247. So there were a few hundred of us, but that was an incredible experience to be able to go to Atlanta. And I was just fangirling the whole time because all of the elites pass you and all the rest of us are like, oh my God, did you see her?
Ah, they're
That's
there.
so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then I used trail running in the immediate post COVID time when we were allowed to start traveling again as how I would spend my vacation time. So I was flying out to Colorado Springs, Colorado mostly to run races and do events. I did like the Grand Traverse from Crested Butte to Aspen, but all I wanted to do was spend more time in the mountains.
Got it. Okay. So you're spending more time in the mountains, and are you signing up for races also?
Hmm.
Okay.
More like local-ish sort of stuff, but yes,
Got it. Got it. Okay. And at this point, do you have a coach?
no.
So fast forward where you're starting to like, wow, I'm actually really good at this. I want to pursue this more. It sounds like you are now as an ER doc, you are I think you said you're a partner in the practice.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how you're able to kind of juggle this really intense ER doc profession with running professionally or competitively, I should say. The professional part we're going to get to, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
competitively.
I have kind of wonky schedules where I'll work a string of mornings, a string of evenings, a string of overnights, but I often have days off in the middle of the week that I'm able to get longer runs in. But truly, my average daily workout is under an hour from putting my shoes on, heading out the door. We're super fortunate. We live in Western Colorado Springs, so there's a trail system that's accessible within 2 miles from the house. So if I can get like a 40-minute run in, come home, shower, get ready, that's the perfect pre-work routine for me. It gets me settled, it gets me focused. I have control over it, and then whatever else happens for the rest of the day is just what's going to happen for the rest of the
Okay, so this is current day Ann. So
day.
current day Ann, you're getting in runs when you can.
Hmm.
Can you talk to me about how you? I really needed to learn about Javelina this 100K because it's like you came out of nowhere. Like no one knew your name. I was so in shock. Like, how did you train for that race? Did you go into that race like I'm going to win it, or did you go into this race going I am just as fit as I can be and I'm just going to see what happens?
So I actually signed up for Javelina because Hannah was signed up to run the 100 miler. And
Hannah
I was
Allgood.
not interested. Yeah, I was not interested in
Okay.
doing 100 miles, but I was like, well, I've done 50 miles, so maybe I should try 100K because that's further than I've ever run. So that would be really cool. And it's a loop, so that works for me. I'm not going to be in the middle of nowhere if I have to stop or slow down. And my training was with a lot of the women who live here. I think there were two or three really fast women from Colorado Springs running javelina, Hannah being one of them, and then Laura Pretz being the other one.
Yep.
So I was doing some long runs with them and then trying to get into spending more time on my feet. So I would run in the morning. And then if I was able to do something like the Manitou Incline in the evening or get more time on my feet. But it was really funny going down to Javelina because obviously there are tickets to Western states there for the people in the 100 miler. But for me, it's like, you're exactly right. No one knows who I am. There's nothing at stake. I could
Right. No
stop in the
pressure. No
middle. Yeah,
pressure.
I could stop in the middle and it's going to be just fine. But it was a really fun vibe at our house, I think, compared to many of the other elites that were going for tickets because it was very chill. There was very little anxiety. I was like, Hannah, but she already had signed with Terex but hadn't announced it yet.
Yeah.
So she'd already made her huge success for the year. It's like just go give it what you got. You have nothing to lose. And then she performed incredibly and got a ticket to Western States, and the rest is history.
Oh, I love this so much. So I saw Hannah out there on the Leadville course. I do have to know, was she crewing you?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. All right, cool. I want to learn more about that. Okay, so we do have Alina. You win it overall, beating all the men.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible performance. Hannah gets second or third. I don't know. I think she got second at the 100, right? Myler.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Riley got
To
first. So she
Riley.
got
Yeah.
second. And going to Western states, that's got to be inspiring to you. I mean,
Oh
after that
yeah.
happened, was there a little bit of like, ooh, like the golden ticket is on your radar after that happened, or are you still like, I'm a mountain girl?
So I at that time I still didn't think that I wanted to run 100 miles. I saw
Okay.
how miserable people looked afterward, and running for me is so much of a daily wellness event that I couldn't imagine essentially injuring myself on purpose to not be able to run for a very long time. So I
Mm.
didn't know if 100 miles yet was worth the squeeze of that effort and potentially exploding or getting hurt or having a bad experience.
Interesting. Okay, let's dive into that because then 2025 hits. You have an incredible year, right? I
Mhm.
mean, you were put on my radar again because Corinne Chavoy, a friend of ours, reached out to me and was like, "Hey, Ann just dropped this insane time at Silver Rush 50. Was close to Mary Denholm Splits, who won
Mhm.
Leadville last year." And I was like, "I know that girl, like, yeah, heck yeah, she's amazing." And so, of course, for me, you are like the person that I was like, oh yeah, let's go. I'm so excited to meet you in person and was just really excited to spend miles with you.
Mhm.
And so after that experience, because you also did the marathon as well, right? You won the marathon, the Leadville Marathon, you won the Silver Rush 50. Can you then bring us to what got you excited about Leadville 100? Because you told me that you didn't even sign up until 2 weeks before the race.
Yeah. So I ran the marathon and I had won a coin, but at that point I didn't think that I wanted to do 100. So they very generously allowed me to run the 50. And then after the 50, I still wanted more. And so that's how I got into the 100. But for me, it was kind of perfect timing. It was the perfect storm of the situation where I hadn't been planning this, but I had an entry, which is phenomenal. And I had just done a really fantastic long supported run at high altitude, the 50 miler. So
Right.
it seemed like for this point in my life, this was just the perfect storm of being able to try 100 miles and see how it goes.
So you sign up for the Leadville. I mean, you got to be thinking like, oh my god! A year ago I was like, no way am I going to do a 100 miler. Now I'm like, let's just see what happens. Um, can you once you decide on the Leadville 100, can you tell
Mhm.
me a little bit about your goals for the day? What are you thinking about with splits? Are you looking at course record splits? Are you talking to Mary about her splits? What's going on for kind of the pre-race excitement?
Yeah, I did talk to Mary just after the 50 because they posted on their social media that she was going to be at the 50, which I thought meant she was going to race it. And I was really excited because I would love to run against her. That would be so much
Sure.
fun. But then she was just there for like PR and that sort of thing. But she was super encouraging of like, hey, I hear that you're not excited about running 100 miles, but this is actually a really great training plan to having good success at the 100 miler. I think I had a pretty sober perspective on what I was going to get out of the 100. I really wanted one, I wanted to finish it. So if that meant that I was going to have to take a break, take a nap, change shoes, do whatever, I wanted to complete 100 miles. I thought that I would feel pretty good in the first 40. I wasn't sure how Hope Pass was going to feel on the way back. So I had kind of a rational goal, a stretch goal, and then a dream goal. The rational goal was just to finish. So if I come back over Hope Pass and I'm feeling terrible, I take a break, I really refuel, and I start back out on essentially a 4 by 10 mile run. And I get it done at some point. Maybe it's the middle of the night, maybe it's the morning. The stretch goal was definitely getting a big buckle. And then the dream goal, I was hoping to go under 19, but I didn't really know what that looked like. I did give my crew a spreadsheet of where they were able to see me, how many miles were in between those, just so I knew kind of how much water and fuel and stuff I wanted to take with me. And then I gave them where the men were going to be, where Mary had been, and kind of where I thought I would be just after that.
Wow, so you really underestimated yourself. Okay, for the record, and for everyone listening, I hope you know this, but this 31-year-old record that Ann Trason, I mean, it was incredible time and of 18 hours and 6 minutes. And again, during Ann's time, there were some changes. Actually, a little bit of a shorter course. You could pick up a pacer at mile 50. It was just a really tough time to beat. And we have had some of the big greats in our sport go for this record and haven't been able to come close. So Mary, only 16 minutes off the record last year, made big news because it was so much closer than anybody else had gotten to Ann's record. So, of course, in your debut 100, you're like, I just want to go sub 19. And here you are. I don't want to spoil it all, but she ends up finishing, folks, in 17:58. Absolutely incredible. So I'm curious of a couple things. Do you feel that the beginner's mindset going into this race, having it be your debut 100, do you think that helped you out there?
Absolutely. I think that was so protective. So one, I don't have much like running on this going into it. It's not like anyone's going to be disappointed in me. My husband will still love me just as much as he did before if I drop out or whatever. So I think that was really helpful because I gave myself much more grace, especially going around Turquoise Lake. And then, as you remember, there's some sneaky hikes or climbs in the first part that people like David Roach and I presumed people who win this race run all of it. But I gave myself the permission to fast hike because I didn't know how my body was going to feel at 70, 80, 90 miles. And I think that actually was quite protective, that I
You
wasn't
respected the
pounding as hard.
distance.
Yeah.
Where you're
Oh,
like,
for
I'm going to
sure.
pace this. Yeah. Especially
Yeah.
at altitude at that,
Mhm.
kind of effort at altitude. Okay. Do you have a coach going into Leadville?
I do not.
You do not. So this was all self-coached. So tell me a little bit about your plan, and I'm curious what actually happened, but your plan heading into the race. And I posted this on Instagram from our stories about, questions for you. And so many people want to know what was your fueling plan and if it actually went according to plan. So if you could talk about that, because again, a lot of listeners are in the same boat, as you previously, where they've never run 100 miles, and it's really daunting. And if you could give a little bit of that advice of like, all right, I've done the 50 miler, now I'm jumping to 100 miler. What does that do differently for my fueling? And how do you look at that from like a all day perspective?
Yeah. So I think I've never fueled as well historically as I did in the marathon, which was then trumped
Hmm.
by the 50 miler, which was then trumped by the 100 miler. I ran a road marathon in California in April, and I think I ate one gel the entire time because that was just the mindset that I took into running, and that's what road runners do.
In
And
April of this year.
yeah, so like six
Okay.
months ago.
Okay.
Yeah. But at the marathon, I was trying to take more gels. I really like the Never Second brand. And so I was really stoked to be able to pick up a gel at most of the aid stations. So my plan for race day was to get about 60 carbs an hour with a gel and two scratch. one with caffeine, one without caffeine. And then I also need a little real food here and there. So I had like peanut butter and jelly tortillas, and I took like a few squares of those throughout it. But it's interesting because I never felt hungry, right? There's kind of like that weird altitude ick that just nothing sounds good. But I would
Yep.
feel my body start to get a little more tired. And then if I made myself take a gel, then suddenly it was like back into next gear.
Nice. So is that how it went? Like according to your plan, did you actually race how you were hoping to when it comes to fueling?
Yeah, for better or worse, I kept down every single one of those gels.
Nice.
But I would pick up a couple, keep them in my pack, and then I would look at my watch, and about every 30 was when I was so at the hour. So like, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30 was when I reminded myself that I probably need to take in a gel. And I tried to stay on that path the whole time.
Nice. Okay. All right. I want to go section by section because this is personally very interesting to me. Um, we start out together. It was super fun. I felt chill. I'm actually very curious if you felt chill, but we're like chatting, like
Yeah.
the first section, I mean, it's road, it's downhill. I mean, like, I'm not looking at my watch. I don't even know what pace we're running. We're chatting. I'm learning about you and we're just ready for a big day. Again, the race started at 4 a.m. and it was perfect running weather. The stars, it was like no wind, just like nice and crisp and cool, but not too cold.
Mhm.
And we were just kind of cruising. And I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about that effort from the start to let's go to May Queen and kind of where you were. Because at some point, I turned around and you were no longer there. I was like mid conversation and then up she's gone and I was like up she has to pee, she'll be back, because we were so chill. And then I never saw you again until whatever mile 26 or something, and we can get to that. But I'm curious what happened during that, and did you feel like were we pushing it too hard? I need to know this personally because I'm like I felt like we were doing okay. Like was I putting myself into a hole here? Clearly it was too fast. I don't know. But I'm curious of your effort level in that section, and if you have any advice for people that will be running this and going for the win in the future.
So the first part where the road was smooth and flat, yeah, we were cruising. It was so chill. It was wonderful. And then it was as we got starting around toward Turquoise Lake, that I started to notice that my depth perception was a little bit off. The roots
Mm,
were bigger than I thought they were. And I was really nervous that I was just going to like trip or fall or go off course and end my day way too early. So that was when I really started to take a little more of a conservative approach. And yeah, you were flying. You took off, and I was just back there getting passed by guys slowly but surely.
but had you recon that section?
I've been around Turquoise Lake for sure.
Okay. Okay.
But just in the
In the
4
dark
a.m.
and like
blur
beginning of the
of,
race.
yeah,
Yeah.
trying to make sure I wasn't falling. And yeah.
Right. Let's just get through this section. Okay. So we hit May Queen. You're like only a couple minutes behind.
Mhm.
And then we head off to the next section. Curious how that section went. Were you taking in fluids and eating well and everything? And how did you feel like you made it into Outward Bound?
Yeah, that section actually was really delightful for me. The sun had started to rise, and so I no longer needed my headlamp, which gave me this huge boat of confidence that okay, I can run now because I can see where my feet are and I know where the
Mm,
terrain is. I linked up with a couple of guys that I actually knew from earlier, and so it was just like chatting and flowing, and it was yeah, that was a really good section. And then as you know, toward Outward Bound is a downhill road, and that was just so fast, so fun.
yeah, so fun. So we both like head into Outward Bound. I don't know my splits. I know nothing. I'm like, where's Ann? Like, where's my buddy? And I take off, and you were right behind me, and nobody, of course,
Mhm.
knows that, and my crew doesn't know to tell me that because I take off before you, and we hit that around that section, that 3 mile road section, is when my belly started to go, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh God, just get to the trees. And next thing I know, and this is really the last time I saw you, I guess I saw you at the out and back from Hope
Yeah.
Pass, but I see you coming up when I'm coming out of the trees, and I see you for the first time, and I'm like, let's go, like go, Ann. And I just in my mind didn't tell you this, but I'm like, I need a minute, like I'm not like
Mhm.
gonna go race you because I needed a minute. My gut was destroyed. So you take off. What were you thinking when you saw me?
Oh, I figured you were right behind me and you would pass me any minute. Yeah, no, I
Okay,
wasn't
like you
worried.
thought we were going to be together. I was
Oh
hoping
yeah.
that was the plan, but you take off
Yeah.
and I couldn't hang because I was like, I just had a really
Mm,
bad bout of GI and I need to like respect the distance here. And this is way too early to hang with you.
mhm.
That section, super fun section. I mean, it wasn't for me. Like that was when my belly really was not doing great. But that section, the trail is so flowy and fun. I'm curious of how it went for you from that section. So basically, outward bound to Twin Lakes. So Twin Lakes, we're coming outbound to at mile 37. How was that section for you?
Oh, it was awesome.
So fun,
As you know, you start into the aspen trees and it seems like it's just flat and flowy. I think it's actually quite downhill and flowy, but that was phenomenal. Aspens are
right?
my
Some of the
favorite. There
best
were a
section of
couple
trail.
yellow leaves already. It was, yeah, I barely felt like I was doing any effort to run through that section. It felt incredible.
Okay, so we hit Twin Lakes and you take off. And so for our listeners from Twin Lakes, it's kind of this. Our crew stays in the same place. Again, this is an out and back course, and our crews all stay there. So at mile
Hmm.
37, then they're going to see us again at mile 62. But we all, the runners, take off on this big adventure to climb Hope Pass, descend Hope Pass, climb it again, the backside, and descend it, and then hit our cruise again. So if you could just walk that through, because during in the meadow I saw you, I had caught up to you, I saw you running, and I was like, okay, cool, she's right there. I feel horrible, but she's right there. And like, it's so early, nobody's racing right now, we're all just kind of running, like so early. And in that section you put up a ton of time on me. Like, I was shocked
Hmm.
after Winfield. When I saw you, I was like, oh, she's absolutely killing it. She's like a mile and a half ahead of me at this point, and I was really surprised, like how much you put in on me. um and I mean, it seems on paper that you put in a really big effort there. Did you feel like it was a big effort?
I was a little nervous how much I was hiking because
Mm,
I'd done Hope Pass before on fresh legs, and there was so much more that I was able to run, especially like the little roller type
yep.
sections that aren't incredibly steep. But I found myself hiking more of them than I had hoped. But at the same time, in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm not even halfway done with this. It's fine to hike for now. We'll sort it out in the future.
Yeah. And are you at this point, like when you saw me at that turnaround, are you like, oh, I'm way ahead, like this day is mine? Or are you sort of like, I'm kind of holding on at this point?
So I felt body wise pretty good. I was nervous about the hike back up on the Winfield
Mm-hmm.
side of Hope Pass because it's so exertional. I wasn't sure if my legs were going to feel like jello or if I was going to be able to run back down. But I actually thought you were pretty close. I was kind of nervous about that.
Oh, really?
I
Oh, I
turned
was like, oh,
around,
she's
yeah,
killing it. She's way.
as we entered the flat part toward Winfield, I turned around and I saw a white tank top and I was like, who is that? And I thought it was a female, but actually it was like one of the guys who just has really lovely long blonde hair. And so I was like, oh, thank goodness.
I think you got third overall. You ended up,
Yeah,
yeah,
you killed it. It's
it's
awesome.
awesome. Okay, so that section, and just for you to know, that section was horrible for me, climbing back out
Yeah.
of Hope, and then that descent, I was a wreck. And anybody who's running Leadville knows I was like, good job, like weekly, like, you got this. And I was like barely surviving. But
Yeah.
it's so early in the race still, right? Like, we're only halfway done, and so there's so
Hmm.
much in. And it's interesting to talk about like beginner's mindset. For me, I've been doing this a long time, I've done a lot of hundreds, and for me it was like, meh, like whatever, we're only halfway done, like we've got so much time, it's going to turn around. So that was sort of my, like, kept going back to, I'm just going to keep problem solving, moving forward. And it was one of those days that just didn't.
Hmm.
So for you, you fly down Hope Pass, you get to Twin, you see your crew, you head out without a pacer. Can we talk about that decision? Because I was shocked and confused to find this out after the fact, that you didn't have a pacer, because all I could think about was, thank God I'm getting a pacer. And there's something strange at
Yeah.
Leadville, and we've talked about this on the Trail Network podcast before, that you can mule. And my personal opinion is that, I mean, it's awesome, I guess, but it also sets folks up that have never done a 100 miler for like no other
Hmm.
race ever in the world. You never get a pacer to mule you. So I hate that rule, but you didn't pick up a pacer, so you didn't have somebody to carry your stuff. I'm curious about that decision and why you did that.
I don't know if it was as much of like a thoughtful, conscious decision to not have a
Okay.
pacer as much as it was putting together this day and this event. And I try to be very thoughtful and hospitable. And so I had tried to rent my crew an Airbnb and that sort of thing, but I was kind of late to the game. So I wasn't really in a good position to invite people to this event and to ask them to,
Right.
pace or crew me. But I also was curious kind of like what it felt like. I was doing this to see how my body would feel at 100 miles. And I knew that I had a few people who were there, who were happy to help, who would have jumped in if I needed them. But at that time, I kind of still felt okay. So I felt like I was moving okay. I could handle this for now.
Nice, nice. Okay, cool. So you run that section, and you're absolutely slaying. I mean, your crew has to be like freaking out, right? Like you are now over the 100K mark, and
Hmm.
heading towards outward bound again, the inbound, and I'm curious of what like is going on in your mind there. Like, were there any low moments ever? Is this when like anything starts to get funky, or are you still like, listen, this is the farthest I've ever run and I'm killing it?
It was really challenging mental math for me because I know in a marathon and a 50K how I'm going to feel at certain points, and I know those are low points. But when we were passing through Twin Lakes, and in my mind, I was thinking that we were only 3/5 of the way done, that was pretty hard. And not in a sense that I like wanted to stop, but I didn't have that confidence of knowing that in 20 miles I still would be feeling good and being able to do this. My crew said I looked the roughest coming into Outward Bound, which I think is definitely true. I saw a video. My gait was off. I just
Huh.
looked really tired. At that point, I was planning to pick up music, and I was really excited about that to get like the pump up playlist to get things moving. Because, yeah, I was moving kind of awkwardly and slow into Outward Bound the second time.
Got it. Okay. So for our listeners, this is mile like 76. You're hitting outward bound. You're in first. I believe you're like third or fourth overall at that time. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you pick up music, you still don't have a pacer, and you're hitting that climb, the power line climb. So this is kind of like the next big climb of the race. It's really the last big climb of the race, and it's a fire road, and it feels like it never ends. There's all these little false summits, and it's tough to run it when you're really tired. How did that climb go for you?
Yeah, I was just prepared to have to hike it. I didn't think that I was going to be able to get my legs back online for upward motion at that time, and so I just committed to hiking it and then getting my legs back online to run once we were at the top. Actually, I take it back. I think I had passed them on the way back from Winfield toward the climb back up Hope Pass. I think I was in second then, as far as I remember. There may have been one more
Second
guy that I
overall.
passed on the flat row. Yeah.
I
Unless I
hadn't
passed
realized
him
that.
sometime around there.
And did you know when you passed them that you were moving into second overall?
No, I was in third overall because Justin was ahead of me.
Okay, okay, Justin's ahead of you. Yeah, you ended
Justin was
up
ahead,
passing
way ahead of
Justin.
me until the very end. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I want to hear about that. Okay. So you're running in third overall, first female, and you're third to David Roach and Justin Grunwald, veterans
Yeah.
who've been doing this. Obviously, David has the previous course record at Leadville, and you're running with them. It's like so insane, Anne. Like your first 100. Wow. Like the internet is blowing up. Like the whole world is on fire, and Anne's just like, I'm cruising. We're good. Okay, so you're that section after Powerline. It's like an amazing descent. It kind of gets a little bit techy there. Is that when it started to get dark for you after the descent after Powerline?
Yeah, I definitely was feeling the grind at that point. I was hoping to keep moving well. I knew there were some flat forest roads coming up, and I was really looking forward to them. And that got pretty good.
Thank you, Osprey, for sponsoring this episode of the show. You need to get your hands on the Transporter wheeled duffel. I love it. Super durable, 100% recycled material that has undergone the most rigorous environmental and social criteria during production to be a blue sign product like many of their products. You'll want to get your hands on some Osprey luggage. You can find it at osprey.com. Now back to the show. So we are into May Queen for our listeners. We are now at 87.2 miles. You're picking up your first pacer of the day. It is dark out. This is 27 miles farther than you've ever run, and you still have 13 more miles to go. Tell me how you're feeling at May Queen.
Luckily we still were in like the dusk time, so I had my headlamp, but I
Okay.
wasn't quite needing it. I was pretty body tired, but one particular thing wasn't going wrong. So I was like ready for this to be completed, but I felt pretty good and pretty ready to get this done. And then I was really excited to have Gil because I knew he wouldn't let me slow down or stop. We actually had slowed down, or I had slowed down a lot between those two aid stations. And so at May Queen, I had to make up a good amount of time if I was going to like finish at a good pace.
A good pace meaning course record.
In retrospect, I didn't know that at the time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when did you find out that you were on or under course record splits?
I honestly thought the course record was in the low 17s rather than low 18s. So I was just cruising, and then with about 2 miles left, we ran into, or we caught up to Justin and his pacer, Kyle Patari, who I've known for a few years. And he's very analytical and tech savvy. And he was looking at exactly how many yards of gravel we had before we hit the road, before we hit the finish. And he was actually the one that told me, like, you have 1.7 miles to the finish, and it's only like 9:40 p.m. Like, if you go now, you need to go now. You can get this, and you can get it under the record.
Okay, so he tells you this, and then what is your reaction? I mean, are you like, I'm dead, I've got nothing left, like, buddy, if I could run faster, I could? Or are you like, let's go, let's throw it down?
Yeah, more the latter.
Okay.
I like kicking in most races. I feel like even if I have a terrible race at the last mile, I'm able to pull from somewhere some fast speed. But I was so nervous that it was more uphill than I had wanted and that I wasn't going to be able to do a final climb. Like that's so daunting. But once I started heading toward it and then I could see like the lights of the finish line in the field, I was ready to go and I just
I'm
took
getting
off.
chills. Okay. So you're seeing the lights in the finish line and you're like, I'm going for a course record. I mean, has it sunk
Yeah.
in at this point going, I'm about to get the course record at Leadville that has been held for over 30 years. Like, how much of this, I mean, for me personally, I think I would have lost it just thinking about it. Like, how are you like internalizing how big that day was for you?
Oh yeah, it was in my mind. It was like, this is insane. Like
Yeah.
this is so crazy right now, but I really need to get across that finish
Yeah. Yeah.
line and then I
Totally.
can start to process exactly what's happening. But yeah, like this is wild. And it was so electric coming into town of Leadville. There were people like streamed down and every person I passed, it was very much like, I don't know, something out of like a movie where they were like, you have to go.
I mean, people are watching all over the world. Like, this is a really big deal for a lot of people. I mean, I didn't realize, I mean, Leadville has a following that is really unlike a lot of other races. I mean, it's kind of a
Hmm.
niche following too. But it really does transcend our little culture of just trail running, you know? People know
Hmm.
Leadville. So you cross that finish line, there's champagne flying, and you did it. You did it. You did the thing. And I listened to your after crossing the finish line interview, and you were sort of like very calm and just like not that excited. You were just sort of like, yeah, that was great. Like I did the thing, you know. Can you talk to us a little bit about you finish? Like, is it sort of an out of body experience? Are you sort of feeling like you're dreaming? Are you sort of like it's still
Hmm.
kind of coming together? Are you like, yeah, hell yeah, and I'm about to do it in the next like 3 years? You're going to see that I'm the next Courtney Dauwalter.
No, I think it was a lot of, well, one, I think my brain was like anoxic still. I was still having such a trouble
Yeah.
processing words and information. And the very nice man from like Running Magazine is trying to get me to put together coherent sentences. I was like, it was awesome. It was great. Let me admit it. But no, it was so cool. And um, I knew some of the race people from previous events, and so it truly felt like they were just genuinely happy to have me back into town. And I had finished it, and I had done it, and it felt so genuine that it was delightful. Yeah.
I'm curious of what this win means to you looking forward. Like, how do you see yourself in the sport now?
I'm not real sure yet. Obviously, I love trail and ultra running. I have a lot of other things going on in my life right now as well. That trail running is obviously the super exciting part of who I am as a human. but I still really like a lot of the other parts. Obviously, I'm going to keep doing this as hard and as fast and as long as I can, but I don't know that it's necessarily going to change the stuff that I'm also very interested in and the other parts of my life that are really rewarding.
Would you pursue a sponsorship at this point?
It's a good question. I'm not sure because one, I'm not the most active on social media. I've never opened a TikTok. I
Same,
definitely
same.
Yeah, I'm
I don't
definitely
know TikTok
interested
at all.
into what having more of like a voice or an influence means.
Hmm.
There are certain um, athlete groups that I would find maybe more interesting. For example, the POW group, Protect Our Winters. I
Hmm.
feel like that would be something that would be more aligned with who I am. I think getting a brand sponsorship is amazing. That's so insane. You can run for them, you can travel. It's very much a team. There's so much support. I think for most people who have that opportunity, that is insane. That is awesome. Absolutely go for it. If I was 10 years younger, I think I would feel quite differently. At this point in my life, I think that's still so impressive and so humbling that a brand would want you to represent them. But I'm just not entirely sure where our relationship would be in terms of how much of my time I could trade for what they would be able to offer me in terms of support.
Got it. Okay. So it's almost like the resources there might not be worth it for what you have to bring to the table for the brand.
I don't think that I am exactly what they deserve as
Hmm.
as an ultra runner. But maybe, right? Like the idea that someone would contact me and even have that discussion is like incredible and so humbling. But I'm not quite sure if we would align exactly and I would meet their expectations in the way that they would want. But I don't know. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Coming from someone who has been sponsored by a couple of
Hmm.
brands in my career, I would encourage you because it does open up a lot of opportunities, fun opportunities. And it's such a small time in life, too. Like it's
Oh
not a
yeah.
permanent decision for the rest of your life. It's just like a really fun thing, at least for me. I definitely did not manifest this at all. I didn't run in college. I didn't, whatever. This was like I came into my life out of nowhere, when I had two little kids and I was working full time and wild, right? And for me personally, it has put me on a really fun path that it definitely has opened my doors. And of course, the resources financially, that sort of thing, but also just connection with the sport and being able to
Mm.
do some really fun big projects that I wouldn't have otherwise had to do or gotten the opportunity to do. So I don't know. I really hope, Anne. I hope that a brand sees all that is Ann Flower, and I'm sure this is a massive performance, and that really it speaks for itself, and you don't really need to prove yourself any longer ever again, which is a pretty incredible thing. I'm curious if you could little speak a little bit to kind of bucket races for you and kind of where you are hoping to toe another line. I mean, I know it's a lot to ask. You just put in a massive effort, but are things like UTMB, CCC, Western States, are these like on your radar? Is that something that if you have time, you would do, or kind of where are you seeing yourself in the future of the sport in that way?
Oh, absolutely. UTMB was definitely on my radar over the last 5 years or so, mostly because I had never spent much time in Europe and I really wanted to get to Chamonix because I've heard amazing things about it. So I actually went last summer during Marathon de Mont Blanc and just ran all of the trails on my free time. So yeah, that sort of thing is super interesting to me to get to go to different places and have different experiences. I've been looking in a little on even like road marathons coming up this fall that have more of a purpose or they have a team that's going in support of some other cause. I think that's part of the reason why Leadville appeals to me so much is because of how much it gives back to the community, which I think is phenomenal.
I had no idea going into the race how
Hmm.
much they give back to the community. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year just from the run, let alone the
Hmm.
series leading up to it in the run, and let alone the mountain bike series. I mean, it's like the amount of money that goes back into the community from these events is pretty. I mean, there's nothing like it in our sport, and
Hmm.
I was really shocked to really even realize that. Very
Yeah.
very
And for
cool.
people who don't know, it's every high school student who graduates from college or from high school in Leadville and wants to pursue any sort of secondary education, they say that they've sent checks to Ivy League schools and to plumber school, but they will help get you started with like $2,000, which is
Every
so awesome.
single senior.
Every single senior.
So cool. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
And then it's a podcast I listened to, the RD of Leadville, before the race. I was listening. Every single aid station is actually brought to us by a nonprofit, which I hadn't known either. Like, how cool is that? So for me, I
Hmm.
didn't know that much about Leadville except for the history of it and the icons that have run it in our
Hmm.
past. It's such a storied history, but I didn't realize how much it was currently doing in present day for the community. And yeah, I'm really impressed with it. Very cool. I mean, how cool is it to kind of represent that and to be like, yeah, I stand by this, I stand for this. It's very, very cool. Um, can you talk a little bit about Mountains to Mountains? I saw that you are on the board of this nonprofit, and I'm curious if you, yeah, just tell us about it. Tell us how we can support Mountains to Mountains.
Absolutely. So we started less than a year ago.
Okay.
It was the brainchild of a couple of friends that I've had since I was a medical student and she was a resident. But the idea behind it was trying to figure out where we have a little more purpose with our backgrounds in emergency medicine and mental health, how we can be more for our community, but also communities similar to us. We work in emergency medicine, but in highly resourced areas, level one trauma centers where everything is available for us. But the idea behind Mountains to Mountains is connecting mountain communities with a shared purpose and a shared goal. So, from our side, from the Western medicine side, we would teach essentially EMT or wilderness medicine or basic skills. And then from those communities, we would hope to get more understanding of the indigenous culture and how hardy mountain people are in other areas. One of the founders spent a lot of time in a rural community in Alaska. So one of our first partnerships will be with them. And the idea is it's physicians and mental health providers giving resources about physical medicine as well as trauma and mental health. And then from them, we get better understanding of how they live and thrive in these really difficult areas.
Sure. And
So
then
more
take,
to come on that, but
yeah.
it's a bridging idea and it's really exciting. Um, Sometimes I leave shifts and feel like that wasn't exactly what I wanted out of this, but you know, just doing medicine in these highly resourced areas where I have every want I could have, but hoping to bring our education to those areas, but then also get back from these communities and from these people who have been living so well on the land and in the mountains, how they have been dealing with this for centuries, how they deal with higher rates of disease and death, and how they process trauma and mental health.
I think that is so novel to have a nonprofit that's going in saying, we don't have all these resources, um, and not have anything to give from you, to gain from you. You know, like, we are sure we have some education we can give you, we can educate as much as we can. And we want to learn so much from you. And it's kind of this like back and forth, give and take, and kind of more of a partnership or empowering each other, really. Wow, how meaningful, and it's beautiful. I want to be involved.
Hey,
Very
hop on
cool.
board.
Yeah, very cool.
You actually have the qualifications that would make you quite beneficial if
That
you
would
want
be,
to get
yeah.
involved.
You know
Yeah.
who else? Justin, who is also an emergency room doc, who was third overall to you, who you beat. He would
Mm-hmm.
be another person that would love it. There's a lot of trail
Yeah.
runners that are also have that crossover in medicine. Rachel Drake, a fellow co-host
Oh
of our
yeah.
podcast, like, she would love that too. So there's a lot of that. So I really hope that people look into Mountains to Mountains. What an incredible organization! It sounds like it's just getting started. So
Yeah. We got
very,
our
very cool.
nonprofit status within the last like 8 weeks. So
Okay, okay.
we're
Was
really
really
excited
just
and
coming up.
hopeful.
Can
Yeah.
people donate if they're not medically inclined? Is this something that people could donate to?
Definitely give us a little time on that because part of the experience will be bringing people to these different areas, whether it's Alaska, Nepal, name a mountain community. So it'll be more of an experiential education sort of a thing. So people will be able to give back of their time, but also financially in the future.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, we're I swear, last question. I have this has been really fun. Thank you so much,
Oh
Anne.
yeah.
I know our paths will cross again, and this has just been a really fun personal banter with you to kind of get to know you more and really understand section by section that epic historic day. So excited for you. If you could leave our listeners with any advice, we have a lot of listeners that are new to trail running that aspire to go longer, and if you could sort of give them any sort of advice about where, how, why, that sort of thing, like how do people get out the door and train for these really big epic days?
So I would definitely say have the mindset of being in this for the long run, meaning make sure that you're staying strong, make sure you're taking care of yourself, make sure that you're able to have your body do these little efforts every day so that the big events are more possible. I also think there is a ton of value in the daily deposits, even if it's 30 minutes. I have a route I call my dirty 30. Even on days when I feel like I'm not going to be able to get out, maybe if the weather's bad or I don't have enough time, if I can just get that done, then that's a huge help. I think there is a benefit into running under suboptimal conditions. So I certainly encourage people, if you haven't slept well, if you haven't, hydrated well, just still get out there and do it because there's some value there as well. And then I think if you want to run longer, sign up for a race. Do something that's supported with an aid station every 3 to 5 miles, because I guarantee you are going to get exponentially further with support and with other people than you would by yourself.
Beautiful. Where will we see you next, Anne?
I'm not signed up for anything quite yet, but I think I'm already like looking.
All right. More to come. Well, thanks again for
Yeah.
coming on the podcast. It means a ton. We really appreciate you having you on. And if anybody wants to connect with you, where can they find you?
Ooh, right now probably more Instagram, but maybe we'll be able to expand that sometime soon.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I would love some like Substack or some more musings of Anne would be fun. How can we learn more about you? Right. Very cool. Well, thanks again. We really appreciate you and just a massive congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. So much fun getting to know you.
All right, Trail Pod. Till next time. Bye. We hope you enjoyed the episode today. Let us know what you think. That was so much fun. Thank you, Ann Flower, for giving us some of your precious time so we can all get to know you better. What an incredible person, story, athlete. I am beyond excited to see where she toes the line next. Wherever she goes, the sky is the limit and really is, in my opinion, the future of our sport. Very cool. Give us a follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, give us 5 stars wherever you listen to this podcast, and we will see you next week. Bye, Trail Family.